what would be your advice to a parent who says, it was really beautiful, I saw you there with your daughter, but I, I would just find it so difficult to do. Or what do I tell the other children? That's probably the most common question. What do I tell the other children? If I'm embracing our non-religious child exactly the same as the other children, so isn't that sending a message that, 50-50, you just pick, it's fine with us. Either way is fine with us. What would be your response to that?
I think it's very, very important for parents to know how to speak with their kids, open conversations, and usually the kids understand more than us. I mean, even you don't say something, maybe they can interpret it in a different way, but kids understand everything. And the regular kids, they don't, we know to identify those kids who are in a risk. We know people for the ADD, people who or be abused, or all those kinds of things. This is why so many young kids are going out of the derech. And there is many other things, yeah? I mean, this is not the only, but we know there is a risk. But regular kids, usually they want to follow the rules. They want to adopt the norms from the community. And I think parents who speak openly that we have another child, that each is different. We love him because they're part of our family. And you love him because they're part of our family. And everybody needs to love. This is the most important thing. And people and kids, when they feel it's a real respect inside the home, I think it's not going to influence them. Absolutely not. It's not going to influence them, because it's also about respect. I think parents who reject their kids, it's very a bad message for the other kids. I think it damaged them much more. They will never forget our parents. And you know what? Let's say one of the kids wants to go out of the derech, let's say, and he will not do it just because he don't want to.
He's afraid of what the parents will respond.
Afraid, say, and sometimes to stay inside, it's mamish a sakanat nefashot. I mean, it's a terrible thing, because you feel you're not connected, and right. You need to present yourself, and it's to damage your image. Your image of God is damaged, right. And sometimes people need to go out to make their journey, to create their identity, to define their identity and this is the new world. We need to understand, and I think Rabbi Uri Zohar is very famous activist in Israel. Yeah. He became a Baal Tshuva.
Right. He was a movie star. He was a movie star in Israel.
He was very a movie star. I think everybody knows about him. And he became a Baal Tshuva in the age of 40, and he has 6 children. All of these 6 become secular. And he said for his wife, I'm doing the best what I can to educate my kids, to make them a good example, to be a dugma tova. And I think the most important thing what we need to do just to change the way how we speak to them, and we need to raise our respect to them. And you will not believe, all of the 6 come back.
All of the 6 became really.
Yeah.
I just wanted to back up a little bit and perhaps. Rabbi Bombach made such important points, so I just want to review them a little bit in case some of our listeners didn't pick up, the nuance from Rabbi Nachum. He's doing a remarkable job in his second language. What did you say? You didn't speak English till you were 20? What was that?
I didn't speak Hebrew until the age of 20.
You only spoke Hebrew till 20?
Only Yiddish, because
you only spoke Yiddish. You didn't even speak Hebrew either.
Yeah, I immigrated.
The third language.
I used to say that I immigrated to Israel at the age of 20 because I'm coming from Be'er Sharim. I'm coming from the Torah.
I did not know that. Rabbi Bombach was joking because typically the very Hasidish communities in Israel tend to speak Yiddish rather than Hebrew. So I thought he was saying that he didn't speak English till he was 20. He said, I didn't even speak Hebrew till I was 20. So the English is the third language. So Rabbi Nachum was talking about the certain risk factors and saying, I think it's a very important message to parents, that there are identifiable, even if we don't have formal studies on this, but there are identifiable, all of those who work in the field, and even anecdotally, parents understanding it yourselves, we know that there are certain risk factors. Let's say, ADD, for example, or children who suffered some sort of trauma, or learning disabilities, or other things like that, or very stressful home environments. So there was actually, I don't know if you know, Rabbi Menachem, there was a study funded in the late 90s. Did you ever see that report? Remind me and I'll email it to you, about risk factors.
About risk factors.
They had about 30 of us got together and spent a month or two pulling together to make a list of risk factors, and which we released to the public for parents to see also. So Rabbi Menachem is saying, in other words, that as far as the question, please, Rabbi Menachem, if I'm not conveying this properly, let me know. I wasn't taking notes. Rabbi Menachem was saying that for parents who are concerned that other children might be influenced by a child that's abandoning religion, the children who have these risk factors are at risk, as we said. But by and large, the children who aren't typically shouldn't be considered as a great risk factor. Then he said that we think we're sending a message to the children that if they abandon religion, our relationship will be harmed by that. And Rabbi Menachem is suggesting, Rabbi Bombach is suggesting, that that's a destructive message, because you're telling your children that our love for you is contingent on you embracing religion. So what kind of love is that? If I tell, right, if my wife loved me only if my hair grew back, what kind of relationship would that be? So if we're telling children, specifically, we're saying it out, we're saying, look, if you abandon religion, we're not going to have the same relationship anymore. So even the other children in the family who are religious now are saying, oh, that's it? I mean, as long as I do Gemara and keep Shabbat, we're good, and if not. So that was another message of Rabbi Nachum. I just want to tell you parenthetically, Rabbi Bombach, I often think of it like, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and please be honest. I think of it that there are two categories of kids who abandon religion. One is ozvim et hadat, that they only abandon religion, and the second is ozvim et hachayim, they're abandoning life. I just want to, while we're discussing this, I just wanted to share with parents something that I've observed, and I think where it's really relevant, and Rabbi Nachum alluded to this, that ozvim et hadat, kids who abandon religion, that means that they're in school and they have friends and they're happy and that they're going to parties. We might not like what they're doing, but they like it. In other words, they're happy, they're optimistic, they're looking to the future. They have issues. Maybe they were never religious to begin with. Maybe they were never turned on. Maybe they got turned off. Rabbi Bombach spoke earlier about the fact that children see inconsistencies and how damaging that is, much more than the internet, right? That how when they see inconsistencies. So there are so many different reasons. But the ozvim et hachayim, kids who abandon life, they're not in school and they're not happy and they're not optimistic and they're harming themselves. They're not doing marijuana or drinking lightly. They're doing cocaine and heroin and God forbid cutting or suicide attempts. So I think there are two different categories. Parents, if you have a child in the ozvim et hachayim, the abandoning life, that you have to help them. There's nothing. They need to become whole. Until they become whole, don't even bother with religion. I want
to strengthen your message, because when it was the 9/11,
yeah, sure.
Some of people are jumping out. Why they jump out? Because they know they're gonna die. Why they jump out?
Right.
Because it was impossible to stay inside. It was impossible. Sometimes kids need to jump out. and we need to be so empathy for them and to understand what's happened. It's a sign. You know, I want to say something. We need to be very honest. There is two reasons of that people explain why people change the culture or the identity or the community. It's a philosophy answer or a psychology. If someone become Haredi, yeah, it become Balchuva, what is Haredi friends gonna say? Ah, now he knows the truth. And what is secular friends gonna say? Ah, is something's
Something's
terrible,
wrong with him.
something. And the opposite is the same. If
Right.
someone become about if someone become a chiloni, yeah, a secular, oh, his friends gonna say, ah, he understands the truth, he's a good guy. And the Haredim is gonna say, ah, Shashem Ishmereni, so
Right.
he's something happy with them. So everybody use a different Zimmer's reason, and so
Right. So, go ahead, finish
no,
up. Finish your
again,
thought,
we're
please.
supposed to be honest with ourselves.
Right. That Rabbi Nachum is saying, in other words, parents, um, we expect the families of Bali Tshuva, if a child grows up secular and becomes religious, um, we fully expect that the family should accept them 100%, right? Just because they embrace religion, why should you turn your back on them? And we wouldn't say that somebody who became religious had a miserable life or was unhappy, and that's why they turned to religion, right? So we should, the same way, if our children take a different path in life, if we're telling children, look, if a parent is secular and they're sending the children, they want to send the kids to top universities, and they enjoy, a family time that's not religiously oriented on Shabbat, and that's what they're doing. They view a child who embraces religion and will no longer eat in their house and has different heroes and different value systems. It's very similar to what we feel. It's just, in other words, they feel the same way, and we're expecting them to love their children just like that. Rabbi Nachum, am I conveying your message?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So